Hello, I am the piano dentist, and this is my comprehensive guide to position 5 Bane. I'm a 6k support player on EU West, and Bane is my most played hero. In this video, I will go through a recent Battle Cup game I played on Bane and describe both my thought process as well as areas where I could have made better decisions. If this video is too long, in the description there should be a very short summary of the key points for being good at Bane and playing position 5 Bane. Before I start the game, I will show you the sort of key points that I put down so that these kind of stick in the back of your head and you can kind of think about these when watching the game. Bane is a strong laner, which means that if the enemy off lane is weak, you can bully them out and give you a carry free farm. If the enemy off lane is strong, then it gives you a fighting chance to not just get crushed. Bane is better at pickoffs versus team fights, mainly because his ulti can get cancelled, so against 5 heroes that's a lot more likely than against 1. You can pick off one guy and then fight 5v4. Stacking move speed and cast range. This is for item build. As a position 5, you're only going to be able to afford Tranquil Boots and Windlace, but these are what you want to buy, and you want to get Aether Lens if you have the gold, and you can get the nice cast range talent. If you do have to team fight, the standard procedure is to sleep someone who can cancel your grip whilst gripping another enemy, and that gives you the best chance of getting a really long duration Fiend's Grip off. This point you can probably get to a very high level without ever having to do it, but I put it in because whenever you do put it off, it feels really sick and it's cool to see, and your teammates will tip you. You can defensive sleep dodge yourself or teammates due to the 1 second invulnerability period on Nightmare. If you sleep someone just as a stun comes in, they will dodge it and you can unsleep and they will not be stunned. Hopefully I demonstrate that in this game that I'm going to play. If we go into the game, I'll start it up. One thing you'll notice, I'm very fast out of base. That's a very important thing, which I notice low level players do not do well, is that it's not just about getting to here where I'm clicking to spot the enemy offlaner's warding. It's also about giving yourself time to mentally prepare for the game ahead. Sort of what is your plan for the lane and what is your plan for team fights later. Whilst it's paused, I will talk about this. So if we quickly go into what items I bought, I don't have to spend time thinking about items much because I know I'm going to buy 2 sets of tangos. I'm going to give 2 to the mid laner. I'm going to buy both the wards. I'm going to give 1 to mid, 1 to the off laner, and I'm going to buy the courier every game. So then all I have to think about is what do I do with my very little leftover gold. You can buy a sentry, mango and clarity like I've done here, or you can buy a mango and salve
straight to the bottom with you.
Clarity and salve.
Acts like this very much.
In this game, because I am playing against what I suspect to be offlane Doom, I buy a sentry because against offlane Doom they will want to eat a creep in this camp, and with the bonus from that creep they can be very strong in lane. If you either body block this camp or ward block it, that means they have to walk all the way up to here to get a creep, which is far too long in the laning phase. Therefore, I buy a sentry so that I know I can block it and Doom cannot get that creep. And then for my other items, I buy myself a mango and a clarity. I get a clarity because I'm against 2 melee heroes, so it's hard for them to cancel it. So I can clarity and still fight them.
You don't have the sand.
Whereas if you're against a sort of range position 4, If you clarity, you have to play like a pussy until it runs out, which means that they can put a lot more pressure on your carry whilst you're doing it. So some games I don't go for clarity, you get a salve instead, and you can man up more and trade more health and then salve. But this game, clarity is good. So, as I was saying, because I bought my items really early and started walking out of base, all the time I'm walking here, and throughout this pause as well, I'm firstly thinking about how the lane's going to go. Who's going to be in the off lane? It's likely Doom and Tusk. Are they a strong off lane? Can I man up on them and fight them a lot? Or do I need to play more passive? Now, Doom and Tusk they're very strong, they're very hard to kill, but they are both melee, which means that the optimal way to play would be in a sort of style where you go in, harass them, they run at you and try to hit you back, you don't fight them, you just run away because they can't hit you because they're melee, and then when they give up, you turn around and hit them again. So this should be my plan for the laning stage. But I'm also thinking about later game in the team fights. Who can cancel my ult? Who do I need to sleep? So Doom, he's not going to want to doom me because I'm a support. He wants to doom someone a little more important. And his other ways of cancelling are potentially a creep or Infernal Blade, which is melee range. So I probably don't need to sleep him. Zeus can bolt me from range, Tusk can snowball, and Lone Druid, his bear can roar me away, and the fear cancels my grip. So thinking about it now, it's pretty hard. Like, you would want to have to sleep Zeus and Tusk and the bear whilst you OT someone else, and you only have one sleep. So we'll see how I deal with it later. But yeah, I realise that, okay, in these fights, I'm probably not going to get a good script off. So I'm pretty ballsy on Bane as support here. Like, on other supports, I would not run up to here, because if the offlaners hide in these trees here, they could have just 2v1'd me, and I would have fed first blood. But when I'm playing Bane, I'm pretty confident because you have 4 armor, you have a decent amount of health, you can even nightmares an enemy, or you brain sap to get your health back. Yeah, you can play pretty ballsy. As you'll see in this game, I think I play a little bit too ballsy. You see me there pinging out. That's one thing you want to check, is always be looking at your mini-map. I missed it when I was watching this back now, but the enemy mid showed in this area for just a tiny bit. If they do that, you can assume they're placing a ward or something.
You've a mind.
So yeah, so I blocked the camp with the sentry, and now the lane starts. I haven't skilled anything because if you can get first blood with Nightmare, it can be worth it to get it. You want to get brain sap in most cases, or if you can steal a rune. But there was no rune to be stolen really, without dying, so I will get brain sap as soon as I need to be. Tusk tag team, the new skill in 7.2 is very strong. I kind of sort of bait it out a bit here, and this is what I said I was looking to do earlier, is I just hit them from range. When they come up to melee me, I try and run away. You can see how I didn't get aggroed by creeps there, because it's the old trick of you attack out of creep aggro range, and when your hero walks in range, it doesn't re-aggro until your second attack. And so you see when Tusk tag teams, I just back off and then hit him with a brain sap when he runs away. I I go for a nightmare here because I think what has happened is I looked at the levels on our heroes. We are both level 2 and they are both level 1. And that's because, while some people say it's bad to push the lane, you need to keep the lane all the way back here. If you kill the first creep wave before they do, you get level 2 first. If you can get kills off of that, then it kind of doesn't matter that you've pushed the lane. You can kind of dominate it. This is a better situation if this camp isn't blocked, because say we got a kill here, we're levels higher, and then I can just side pull here at 27 or 57, and they lose a lot of XP, and we win the lane. We nearly killed Doom here, and I can't remember if this is where I got a bit over eager, because usually this is what I do as support, is I don't pull this camp much. I just pull this camp at 27 and 57. You can do the same on Dire. And with it blocked so that Doom can't get a creep, I can't really pull. So I just kind of have to stay in lane. And here we go. I expected Doom to walk all the way back to base because he was such low health. But he didn't. He went to eat a creep and then came back on half health. So this was a mistake by me. If we look at the last hits and denies, this is a lane we're already winning. And when you're winning a lane, you don't really want to do silly tower dives, because that's kind of the only way that they get back into it. If you just play safe and sensible, you will eventually kind of win the lane harder. Now Doom is level 3 and he becomes... okay, he doesn't have Scorched Earth. He probably should do, but Doom gets quite tanky. What creep does he have? He has the Whirlwind creep, which isn't great. But still, it becomes... once you kind of like give him a level advantage like this, it becomes quite tough to regain control of the lane. Yeah, oh yeah, okay, so I decide the lane's near enough to the tower that TB is safe. So I go for the 4-minute rune. As I'm going there, this is a nice timing. You want to try and maximize your efficiency when you're playing position 5 support. And this is a good example of that. I get to not only check the bottom rune, and if it's a haste or a DD, I can maybe get a kill on Zeus mid. But as well as checking the rune, I get to stack this camp at the same time. And it's very nice stacking this camp because you see when I pull it, it will kill the whole creep wave. If you hadn't stacked it, it would kill one creep at most, and then the wave would push back towards them. So this kills off all our creeps. And they're going on Terrorblade, but because I pulled, it's kind of close enough to the tower that he's not really in danger of dying. I come and help TB rather than farming the rest of the pool because they might try some mad YOLO play onto the tower, and yeah, it's better to be near carry and not let him die. 5-minute runes, I was a bit slow. That's because I pulled the wave under our tower. In hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have pulled. Maybe I should have waited until the next minute, because that's something you want to do is before 5 minutes and 10 minutes you want to push the lane so that they have to make the choice between farming these creeps or attacking the runes. Because our creeps are under this tower, Tusk could just walk for this rune and Doom wasn't going to miss any creeps, and TB had to stay here, otherwise he would lose loads of creeps. Here I screwed up, but as I wasn't talking about it, you might not have noticed. I'll rewind so we can see my screw up again. Is that you need to think, who am I going to sleep when they go on someone as Bane? And sort of pre-game, I thought I was going to have to be sleeping Doom, because with Scorched Earth movement speed and Infernal Blade, he can run the carry down. But actually in this case, I should have slept the Tusk, I think. But I only should have slept the Tusk because of the Doom's weird skill build. But yeah, if I slept the Tusk, because he's got Orb of Venom, he keeps applying it to TB, and TB can't escape. So yeah, you have to. It's easy to make mistakes on Bane. You can easily sleep the wrong target. Oh, this is a cool trick that I mentioned in my support guide. I'm not sure if it shows up in replay mode. Okay, so I bought a observer board, and Kunkka uses the courier. I recall the courier, and then what I do is I click here, I click deliver Kunkka, then I shift Q drop the ward on him, and then shift Q return the courier to base. And as you see, this isn't his ward, it just smoothly delivers his items and the ward, and I can stay here protecting TB whilst Kunkka still gets his mid ward. That's a really cool trick that not enough support players do. Anyway, finally using my clarity. So yeah, I haven't really laned this well. I had the kind of silly death. I didn't expect the Doom to be there. Here, I sleep him because I see Tusk suiciding. So I know that Tusk can't come. Terrorblade decides he doesn't want to pop Meta and Reflection, which I think would have been a kill. That was just a kind of communication thing. You need to communicate a lot as Bane. You need to say, I'm going to sleep this person and we're going to kill him. You can just say, sleeping this guy, let's go, let's go. If you don't say anything, you sleep a guy and your carry just stays hitting creeps and doesn't realise. That was a case of miscommunication there. That is one good thing about Bane though, is that when there's not too much communication in pubs, it's easier to set up ganks with Bane than any other support player, because carry players are often kind of slow. It's very hard for them to react at the same time as you. But if you can start with a nightmare, then ping the guy you nightmared, it gives your carry plenty of time usually to get in position and help with the kill. Just that time I just didn't say anything to TB for whatever reason, so you just take that. Here, this is an awkward stage of the game. I wasn't sure what I should be doing. I felt like I had to protect this TB. If I left him, they could have dived him under tower with Doom and Tusk. So I feel like I have to stay in this lane, but we can't really kill them. I just have to kind of sit there babysitting. And that would have been fine, but they also brought Zeus. And maybe what I should have done is, rather than buy this stick and boots, bought a ward earlier and put a ward kind of round about here or here to spot the Zeus rotation. Because we really should have just backed when Zeus was missing for so long. Because like I can nightmare one person, but when there's 3 of them, I mean I can't save the TB. So after we both died, I said to the TB, you can maybe go top, you've got meta, you can take the tower. And I TP bottom because there were creeps under the tower, and getting all your heroes to level 6 really early is very important. Oh, this was very close. You can see the Doom animation coming out. I always be checking players' levels. I checked his level and saw his level 6, like when I was farming this. I was like, holy crap, I am very close to dead. And so I kind of knew I needed to sleep him before he started casting Doom. So I got it off just in time. So yeah, as I said, I TP'd in here because creeps were dying to the tower. I would get like half a wave of XP. And yeah, getting all your heroes on your team to level 6, especially when you have a big ulti like Fiend Script, which is basically a free kill. If it doesn't get disabled. That's very important, so you do have to be a little bit selfish sometimes. 10 minutes, always go for the bounty runes on position 5. Trade your life if you need to. I saw Zeus up here, so I'm kind of just trying to walk around in circles and confuse them, because I realise they're kind of trying to corner me in. And although I do die in the end, it basically forces Tuss to TP down here. They now have 3 people, and this lets Kunkka put a lot of pressure on mid. This lets TB free farm. So that's some nice space. Like when you know you're probably kind of dead, just try and waste as much time as possible. Sleep someone, run around a bit. And like this kill on Dazzle might not have been possible if I didn't get the Tuss to TP in here and Zeus and Doom to run around.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So this is again trying to be efficient. Like I'm just running out to mid lane because I want to ward there and sentry there. But if you're ever close to a camp at 55 minutes, you've got anyone who can farm stacks, just stack a camp that you're running past. Like it's just free gold for you and everyone else on your team. This was a bad TP because Grim was already dead. I was maybe like tilted a little bit. This is one of the problems when you're kind of losing and behind, is when your teammate gets gone on, you feel like you have to go and help them. But really there was no turnaround potential. Like Doom is way too tanky for us to turn and kill him. And Grim was already doomed, he was already dead. Like there's no reason. I don't even need to help Doom because he's Grim because he's a support anyway. I should be saving my TP so that if they now dive axe, I can help him up there. And now I don't have TP for up there. It's a horrible situation. You only want to TP and save people if you can actually save them and get something back in return. So this is what you want to do every time you get 6. You want to use a smoke. You want to get a kill with it. I got kind of distracted by this invis rune, so my initial plan was good. It was, well, I've TP'd down here, I don't have TP, but I've just got level 6. Let's smoke me and Kunkka up to top. We'll take a good team fight with our ultis, and we can get this tower afterwards. Like we've got meta. But because I wasted so much time distracted by the invis ring, I end up coming here way too late, and it's like, well, now what do I do? I can't do anything here. This is not a good situation.
Radiant's been fortificated. Don't waste your time.
So yeah, always try and keep TP as long as you can. Most time I go to the shop, you buy 2 TPs because, especially on support, you find that you might TP to one place and then you have to do so many jobs as support. You have to run around warding, you have to try and kill enemies, you have to save your teammates. Like, it can be hard to find the time to go to a shop to buy another TP. So try and buy 2 at once, because then if you TP somewhere, even if you don't buy one in the next, what is the cooldown? 70, 80 seconds, you still got another one. And here was an example of why Lone Druid's quite annoying against Bane, because I slept the Lone Druid so we could try and kill him. But he just takes the sleep off of the bear. Against Lone Druid, the bear is worth 300 gold, which is basically as much as a hero kill at this stage of the game. So it's actually kind of alright with that. I'd always place a sentry before you go and ward somewhere, because if there was a ward here, and they saw me walk up here with a ward in my inventory, and then walk away without one, they know I've warded here, so they're just going to de-ward. So yeah, you want to try and sentry in places that might spot you walking into an area. This is one of the good things about Bane, is that you can use Nightmare to set up for spells like Kunkka, Torrent, Piranha, Arrow. You see, I actually wasted my ulti here. I wanted to replay this back. I didn't know if Kunkka was going to have X up again in time. I thought we could kill him without using my ult, and then I realised, oh shit, he graved. I didn't realise kunkka had X, so it's kind of a waste of an ult, but you see, although my execution was terrible, my movement was good. This is what you want to do when you get your ultimate. You either want to smoke and like move around mid, or you want to move through this area. If I pause it here, you want to basically come through here, move through here. If there's any enemy carry farming here, you kill them with grip. If they've gone into the jungle instead, you walk into the jungle, you ward the jungle, and you kill them with grip. And this is sort of how you win most games as Bane, is you get your level 6, you go into the enemy jungle with, hopefully you have 4 heroes around this section of the map, and as those 4 heroes, 3 of you can go and find a kill, whilst 1 is near a tower. After you get the kill, you then pressure the mid tower or this top tower. And when you pressure towers like that, it forces the enemy to try and pressure on the other side of the map. And although I don't think there's a good example of that this game, like imagine we still had this tower down here. Okay, let me phrase this. So everything's a bit delayed because of this example where when I got my 6, I went for this invis rune, and by the time I got to top, our team had died and we couldn't fight. So like my first grip kill was really delayed. So by the time I get the first one, these towers are sort of already gone, this tower's gone. It's in a weird game state. In an ideal game, as soon as you get 6, you smoke with your position 4, you go here, 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 you get a kill, and then then your team sort of collapses on this tower or this tower, they start pressuring it. They pressure this tower, or maybe they're even pressuring tier 2. You just TP into the tree lines as Bane. You use ult. If you click ult, you can see your teammates' TP statuses. You check some have got TPs. You TP into the trees, sleep the enemy offlaner or whoever's split pushing. It's a free kill. That's how you win most games of Bane. Is you put pressure on the map somewhere. They try and pressure a tower somewhere else. You TP in, sleep them, kill them. With the new Bane, you can right click select targets without waking them up. No one else can. You see item wise, I just have boots and a stick. I'm buying wards and sentries. Wards and sentries are the most important thing. This is your core items really. And boots wise, you can either go straight for tranquil boots, or you can go for, especially if you're having a good game, you can get arcane boots because they're pretty useful for your team. Even if you do get arcane boots, you still want to get a casual win base, because I think I said when I was introducing it, move speed is key. The higher your move speed, the more people you can catch with Nightmare after fights, the more bonus kills you get. And also, yeah, the more quickly you can kind of position yourself in team fights. This is a really nice ward spot. It blocks the camp, so if they farm the camp, they can kind of maybe know it's there. But most of the time, it doesn't get dewarded, and because you're placing it from here, usually nobody sees you. And I spend a lot of sentries into controlling sort of this area of the map around mid and around Roche. Because Roche and mid are the most important parts of the game. That's where you want to concentrate your sentries. I'm running top here because I've got grip very soon. Like this ward, we place early, spots these guys out, and anything in Dota, like if you have the numbers advantage, you're probably going to win. So if you're 4v3, you're probably going to win. If you're 2v1, you're probably going to win. This is the usual, I sleep the dazzle so we can't brave him, and then we grip the tusk. So that's the standard Bane thing. Sleep one guy, grip the other. And it would have been nice for me to be able to grip a core this game. That's one thing you want to focus on. Is when you're smoking, you don't want to smoke for support, you want to smoke for a core. Here we're pretty deep, and if you're pretty deep, you just sleep one guy who can chase you and run away. That's one of the nice things about Bane. You can go quite deep into enemy territory and disable whichever guy can catch your heroes, and you can kind of just run away. And if you're like sort of playing around here and causing them to all TP in and think, oh shit, are they fighting us? I mean, TB can just free farm. You can make a lot of space with this hero because you can be really aggressive. Because if you run into people, you just sleep them and run away. And they don't know if you're sleeping them because you're about to get... Like here, I just sleep this guy for no reason. But you see Druid starts running over here. I think Dazzle and Tusk were running. If you sleep someone, they just think you're going on them. And they waste so much time. Yeah. So you see in this game, I go for the casual win lace. I haven't decided whether I'm going Tranquils or Arcanes. I think I see because Grim has gone Arcanes, I'm just going to go Tranquils. And oh, it's because you're against Zeus. There are some heroes where you just have to buy Tranquils against. Zeus is one, Tinker is another, Gyro is another, because in a fight you're just going to take a load of damage from them, but you know your tranquil, even if you're on the back lines, but you know your tranquils aren't going to be broken. So knowing your tranquils aren't going to be broken, it's just such massive value. Here we smoked because I have grip, we have ults, I feel like it. At this stage of the game, you don't need to, as a Bane, as I said, you don't want to team fight, you want to pick off. So I don't smoke with TB, I don't smoke with kunkka. What we want to do is, with just the three of us, we have enough damage with my ult. It's 5 seconds lockdown. We can kill almost any hero. But as you see here, we run up here, we find the Doom, I click on the Doom. We see it as a Crimson Guard, we see it as Big Stick. Doom is basically the one person we can't kill. So that's an important thing in Dota. It's knowing who you can and can't kill. This was nice. I think if I ulted him, he would have been dead, because one of the reasons why you level up Nightmare is that the range increases, but at this range, Fiend's Grip is still longer, and I couldn't get in range before the TP completed. So talking about skill build while there's a bit of downtime, basically Brain Sap and Nightmare. You just max out these, max Brain Sap first, then Nightmare. Enfeeble really doesn't matter now that it's not really useful in lane because it doesn't lower attack damage, so it doesn't really stop them last hitting. So you don't want to get it early, and then you really do need the cast range of Nightmare, because as you saw there, if I'm one level higher, we kill that Zeus.
But I'm worth so much more.
Yeah, you really want the cast range. So this is the kind of Bane game I liked, where I haven't even played well, but we're sort of ahead because I'm trying to do stuff. Like, I'm running around in their jungle, I'm trying to grip people and sleep people, whilst TB is just free farming. And TB hasn't needed to come to any fights or anything. And that's one of the nice things about Bane, is you can take fights on their side of the map, and worst case scenario is never too bad because you can always sleep. You can always sleep someone, let yourself die, and all your teammates get out. You can make so much space on this hero. Warding is the one thing I talked about in my support guide. If you imagine a sort of invisible line across the map, sort of where the creep waves meet, that's sort of the area you control, and you want to basically slightly extend that vision. So that's what you do with sort of this ward here and these wards here, is you can now encroach a little bit into their jungle, and you can get access to your own jungle here without feeling so insecure. You notice I don't hit neutral creeps. you almost never want to hit neutral creeps as a position 5. It is a good rule of thumb, especially if you're lower rank, to just never do it. Just instead search for kills, let your cores hit neutrals. He's also really bad at hitting lane creeps, Bane. What you want to do instead is, if you do ever get into the situation where you want to hit lane creeps, you want to kill the range creep because that pushes the wave the most. So you hit the range creep once, you brain sap it, and then you can just leave the rest of the wave. You don't really need gold on Bane, so if you don't need the gold, then just kill the range creep. Because you've killed their range creep, your wave will push, and you can go and do something else. You can find a kill, you sit behind a core ready to save them. Here Kunkka was a bit far out. I come in, I don't have time to nightmare save, but this is a good thing about Bane. Grim is that you get a nice double ulti. And this is basically what teamfights is, Bane. You don't right click anyone because at this stage of the game your right click's not that relevant. You just go in, brain sap, sleep someone if you can, and get out. I run in here because my TB is really low, like one Zeus bolt and he's dead. So I was trying to get in a Nightmare Zeus so he couldn't bolt TB. Like that's, if you need to die for your carry, then you have to die for your carry. So yeah, there. I was just trying to Nightmare TB. Nightmare Zeus so he couldn't finish off TB. TB survives, and so even though we lose the fight, it's not disastrous. If we lost TB there, that would be very bad. When I respawn, I sort of realise they're that aggressive on mid, they probably play some wards around there. So I think I've bought myself, I've bought myself a lot of sentries. Because this is also the stage of the game where both teams can start to take Roche. And when both teams can start to take Roche, you have to win the ward war around this area. So if you have to commit infinity sentries to do it, then you do it. And this is why you also want to be a little bit creative with where you ward around here, so that the other team is unlikely to de-ward it. This ward here, it should, I think, be far enough off centre that they're not going to be able to de-ward it, and it can spot sort of like Tusk. If there's a Roche fight, anyone standing on this high ground, we have vision of them and we can jump them with axe. So here again, I just run into the jungle with a haste rune. I just sleep him to try and get Dazzle and Zeus and stuff to run over here. The big important part about playing support you saw there, just click on your enemies' inventories, ping out what their items are, so your teammates know. I'm a bit disappointed with my performance this game because, as you've seen, I haven't really found any big cores with Fiend Script kills. But that is, if you look at the last hits, that is because Lone Druid and Zeus have kind of been farming in pretty safe areas, and they've been playing kind of a little bit pussy. It's hard for me to find kills. Maybe I need to be smoking more with Axe and Grim. But another point is that they're not really pressuring our towers, so it's like we don't necessarily need to fight. And I mean, TB, he has BKB now, but he can't really fight Zeus until he has BKB. So we don't want to sort of overcommit the lead. But we still want to defend our towers. I pinged out this tower because it's low health, it's a mid tower. It's the most important tower in the game. You know they want to go and try and make something happen there. If you can anticipate that, you can take a good fight. But we did overextend here, because rather than stay around our tower, we went out pretty far. This was a nice script. This is one of the examples where sometimes you don't need to overthink, and don't need to nightmare and then grip. If an enemy goes out, leaves their team, and basically overcommits, then you know no one can cancel your grip. Where I was there, the Zeus walking down into the river, he was so far out that I knew if I grip him, his team can't save him quickly enough. So yeah, if an enemy kind of runs away from their team into your team, if they're sort of, I don't know, half a screen away from their team, then just grip them, because their team might cancel the grip and you will kill them, and then you can win the fight. You see, when you start using your spells, you run into mana issues on Bane. That's another reason to not bother getting Enfeeble until you've maxed these out, is you don't have enough you barely have enough mana to support Brain Sap and Nightmare. If you add Enfeeble into the mix, then, especially with Tranquil Boots, you don't have enough mana. You just don't. You have to buy yourself a lot of Clarities, but that's the price you have to pay for going Tranquil Boots, which you need versus Zeus. This is a pretty passive game, which it's not really how you want to play Bane. I fucked up Grim's last hits there. Nice of me. But maybe I'll show it off here, where you just hit the range creep once, brain sap it, and now you want to go somewhere else and do something. You can start running over here to your cores. Maybe they were smoked down here, and if I got here in time, I would be able to nightmare save someone. So yeah, so you want to kind of push out lanes efficiently by just killing the range creep. Item wise, so as I said, I mean the main thing you need to buy is ward and sentries, and because you don't really hit creeps, especially if you're not finding tons of kills like I'm not this game, because they're really not pressuring towers. That's how you get a lot of your kills as Bane, is that they pressure this tower, you TP in behind the tree line, catch someone, but they're just not pressuring towers, so I'm not getting the opportunities to kill. The only way to kill is to run in here under their shrine and try and fiend script someone, which is kind of throwy. Like, you can sort of, around about here, you can maybe go for a grip kill or a gank, but any closer and you're kind of committing to a shrine, and that's the easiest way to throw. My smoke got revealed here, so I'm panicking and running away. Can't remember. Again here, it's such a great ward spot when you're on Radiant. It really is. I think we spot out Dazzle and stuff. And this ward here lets us roche. We can roche because we see where the enemies are. When your team's roaching like this, you always want to be positioned like there's no point you hitting roche, you do 0 damage. You want to try and be in a position where if they contest, you can get your spells off and you're safe. Your team can win a fight if they contest.
You get nothing. Good day.
Yeah. This probably wasn't the best. I didn't remember how this game went. It's not a great example of a brilliant way to play Bane. As I said, the best thing you can do is just sit back. Here again, I commit grip because it's like Zeus. If Zeus wants to cancel it, he has to run in so close that maybe we can jump to Zeus as well. You have to realise that even if your grip gets cancelled, sometimes they have to overcommit to do so. So yeah, so the ideal Bane game, you're running up here, getting a kill, then you TP in the trees here, set up another kill, and then after that, when your ulti comes off cooldown, again you smoke somewhere, you get loads more kills. But because they weren't really pressuring towers, they were playing passive. It gives our TB space to farm. And TB with BKB against their team can kind of solo win the game. I don't need to do too much. Again, you see, like we're 30 minutes in, I don't have items. You don't really need items. I'm trying to think of advice for at lower levels. You can wake the nightmare up, even if it's on your teammates. If your teammates attack the guy, just wake him up and yeah, just watch out for that, because that happened a lot, especially when I was 3 and 4K and playing Bane. Is you go for a kill, and your core decides he wants to right click, and he gets slept. And you don't. In the old days, you could not unsleep your teammate, so it was twice as painful. I'm actually hitting neutral creeps because there really is not much else to do. This is our last smoke. I don't really want to, at this stage of the game, when it gets to like 30 minutes, is I can't remember how often smokes restock, but it feels like every 8 minutes or so. It's not that often, so you want to save your smokes for when Roshan is up, because that's really what wins you games, and that's what got us ahead in this game. Is we got a good ward around Roche, and we were able to take it down low enough that they couldn't fight us there. So that's another thing. I commit so many sentries to around Roche that they didn't know, they had no vision on us at Roche, so it was really hard for them to contest. I'll rewind because this is an interesting thing. So I noticed Zeus had Ags when I was running around like an idiot here earlier. But when Zeus has Ags, what he could have done is if he just waited until I ult, he just casts his Ags on me and it instantly cancels it. But he sort of put it in this area because he went on the axe, and by pure fortune I had forgotten that I needed to save my ult until he used Ags. So I used it straight away, but yeah, I got a bit lucky there that I was not under Ags. Again, that was a scenario where the Doom was too far away from his team, so I just ulted him rather than sleeping him. And if I click on Doom, he still has his ult. Like, he went under sentry vision, so we saw him. And this is how you win against Invis heroes. You just put sentries here, like uphill, going into these areas, and they walk under there with Shadow Blade. For some reason, not imagining you'll buy sentries, and oh look, you have a sentry, and you just fiend script them for 5 seconds, and they die without getting their ult off. And that's literally, that whole fight was just won by this sentry. It wasn't like any good play by us or pro play or sensible skill usage. It was this 100 gold item just put here next to the rune, where you know they're going to walk uphill when they want to run into your jungle. And we killed the Doom before he uses Doom, and we basically 5-man wiped them from it. And that basically, we were already ahead, but that basically solidifies the game. It's just buying a sentry. It's ridiculous. So I can't remember how long the rest of the game goes on. I mean, here the team's winning fights even without me. I'll go into the talents a bit. So you almost always want to get the 100 cast range. I think the only time I get armor is if I'm against something like maybe a Clinks or a Slark, who usually start fights kind of targeting you on the back lines, and that, so you don't need the long range, because if they come in from the back, you can like ult them without their team being able to get to you anyway. You don't need the cast range for that. and the 6 armor means you often have like another 2/10 of a second to react and grip them before they immediately kill you. But yeah, in every other scenario, 100 cast range is incredible. The 15 talent is kind of both are pretty bad. Like, I mean, does anyone care about the 40% XP gain when you're already level 15 and already have this maxed and this maxed? Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit pessimistic about myself, and I just feel like I'm gonna feed. And the higher level I am, the more XP I give them. So I go for enfeeble still with attack damage, even though it's probably not very good. I think you should go XP gain most of the time, because 50 movement speed is nice. It lets you position in fights better. Because the whole thing in fights in Dota, it's sort of like a back and forth. It's like the other team will retreat a bit and then re-engage, and you kind of, when the other team retreat, you want to be able to get forward quickly to catch one to sleep them, but then you also need to get back quickly after you've slept them, because anyone with a blink dagger might try and jump in on you. So you need to kind of, yeah, be able to switch from back line to front line quickly, and that's why you buy all these move speed items, and you get the move speed talent. And then I don't think I've ever gotten to level 25 talent on Bane. I was talking about talent, so I kind of missed this fight. Is this an example of a simple sleep and grip? Let's see what I do. I panic. I was waiting for the Zeus ult this time. I knew I couldn't just instantly do it. Okay, here you can brain sap, because otherwise I might be dead. Okay, nice sleep then grip. It's just yeah, that wasn't great for me. I probably should have slept the bear or something, but it's like, you see a good opportunity for grip, you sometimes just have to go for it. And that's one thing I forgot to mention. I'll maybe go through on very fast speed. Okay, that's way too far back. From about 20 minutes on, I literally always have buyback. Okay, there I bought out because I was already dead and I knew I didn't want to buy back. Okay, I proved myself thoroughly wrong here. But this is something that I get baited into not saving buyback, but you should always really save buyback on position 5 support, because A, it's so cheap, and especially as someone like Bane, if you die at the start of the fight, not only, it's actually not that bad because they have to use disables to kill people. So when you buy back, TP back in, there's less spells to be able to stop your grip. So maybe from here onwards, I'm like, alright, let's actually save buyback. And then if there's ever a fight around our shrines, I can just buy back TP. And if we win the fight, we get an extra kill out of it because I can nightmare someone. It's just such a sort of positive expected value thing to save buyback and TP on shrine. And then that's what I did on the fight up here. Okay, that's the end of the game. But yeah, that's what I did on the fight up here. I'm not too worried about dying because I know I have buyback and TP scope. This is also why you want to save TPs. There's no point saving buyback if you're not going to save your TP cooldown. Save them both together and then you can basically fight 6v5. See, I start going for Aether Lens because, as I said, after you've got your Tranquil Boots or whatever, Aether Lens is insane value on Bane. just making it harder for the enemies to cancel your grip, and also being able to sleep people from a safer distance. It's invaluable. That and Glimmer Cape are really good. I didn't go for Glimmer Cape this game because I have a Zeus who just keeps revealing you with bolt all the time, and I usually go Glimmer Cape if we don't have Shadow Blades, or if we don't have much invis. It forces them to put money into detection, basically. So that's when I go for Glimmer Cape. I guess this is probably the case with most people playing Dota, is that at the time, you imagine, you played pretty well, and you really carried your team to victory, and did what was necessary, and really showcased your skill. Then you watch it back, and in sort of the first 25 minutes, I'd used my ultimate to kill a position 5 dazzle around here when I didn't need to, and a position 4 tusk. But oh well, I'll probably still upload this video anyway, because I've taken the time to record it now. But yeah, there's certainly better examples of Bane play out there. Syndrin plays a very good Bane in pubs from time to time. I think FNG is pretty good on Bane. Eternal Envy quite likes playing Bane. Yeah, some better examples out there. Hopefully you learn something from it. Even if a lot of the video was like in an ideal situation, I would be running around here catching these people on Bane. But yeah, you kind of do need the enemy team to sort of try and pressure your towers more for you to show your worth by being able to TP in behind trees and nightmare people. So going back to this, bullying laners, we didn't really see this because I did a silly dive and died. But Tusk Doom is a very strong lane, and if TB had a weak support with him, like Tusk and Doom could just go on the TB and kill him over and over again. So it was kind of a bit of a boring laning phase, but it was boring because Bane is strong and scary. Pickoffs, there weren't really the opportunities for pickoffs too much, because I mean you don't wanna like fight under their shrine, and they weren't pressuring.
The battle resumes.
They weren't really playing ballsy enough to get pickoffs, so we just kind of out-farmed them in a way. We saw me buying move speed items and trying to buy chaos range. We saw some examples where I did sleep one person and then grip another, but then when it's a chaotic 5v5 team fight, you will often find yourself just panicking and forgetting to do this and gripping someone like I did. But that's okay, because you usually don't need to play perfect, you just need to play better than the other team. Defensive sleep dodge disables. I tried this once in the game. It didn't really work out. I'll show you an example. Okay, I'm gonna try and demonstrate the defensive save. You get 1 second of invulnerability, so long as you sleep them within 1 second of the disable, less than 1 second before the disable lands, they won't get stunned by it, and you can unsleep them straight away and they won't be stunned. That was too late, and again that's because Nightmare is level 2. If
most certainly
when you put higher nightmare. That was too fast, but this is a good example. There we go. That's some nice timing. Yeah, it's something that, I mean, I'm 6k MMR and I fuck it up most of the time, so it's not really necessary to win games, but if you can pull it off, it looks really cool. Like that, yeah. And everyone will go, wow. So yeah, that's one of the fun things about playing Bane, is trying defensive sleeps and getting better at them. It's really good if your carry has BKB and you can like interrupt a chain disable and he gets BKB off for it. It's pretty sick. Starting off in reverse, seeing as this video has gone so weirdly, when to pick Bane is the perfect way to end the video. As a position 5 player, most of the time you're going to have to first pick. Bane's the kind of hero that it's fine to first pick. It's good enough in lane that you never really lose the game for it. You've always got a BKB piercing disable. But I mean, you can basically look at dota buff or strats or any other site and say, what does Bane have a terrible win rate against? And you will see it's basically anyone who's illusion or lots of summons, because all your spells are single target, and also they can wake themselves up from nightmare by using their summons or illusions to toggle the sleep off. And then who Bane is good against is, it's kind of a sort of, I don't know, random assortment. It's sort of like Bane is really bad against these heroes, but then sort of all the other like 85 heroes he's perfectly fine and capable against, but he's not insane against anybody. It's not like you feel like, oh, I've got Bane against this hero, we've won the game. On your team, as we saw in the Battle Cup earlier, it's nice to have Grimstroke because you get double ulti. Bane Marana is another classic combo because you've got sleep into arrow. And apart from that, you really just want heroes who push lanes really hard and force the enemy to split up and give you the chance to pick them off solo with Fiend Script. Yeah. So this is an underwhelming end to my everything I know about Bane. Hope you sort of semi-enjoyed it.